I'm Stephanie, and let's talk books. So I wanted to talk about something that annoys a lot of us who are book lovers, and something that would be so easy to fix, but it's still a problem. And that is book spines that don't match within a series. So if you're like me and you like to have a beautiful shelf of books displayed, you want them to look like they go together. But sometimes there's just something a little bit off, and if you're type A like me, it really bugs you. So I'm going to show some examples of people doing a good job, people doing a bad job, and people doing sort of an okay job. So let's start off with an example where it looks like they tried, but they just didn't quite try hard enough. And that would be Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson. So if you notice, the spines, they look not too bad. The font is the same for everything. You know, they even got like the white with the foiling outline that looks really nice. You know, the length of the title and Brandon's name, they're about the same size. And then you look at the picture, and they don't match. You lined everything else up, but you couldn't line up the pictures. And of course, thank you, Tor, for changing your logo. We don't like this. I like knowing who published my books, but you're not so important to the spine of the book that I want to see a minor logo change. Like, just finish the series out. New series, standalones, that's great. Put your new logo on it. But this, no, I don't like it. And this is something I just wish, go to the archives, open the file of the cover art, move things around so they match. The little dashy lines match. Where Brandon's name is matches. This, bad. Very bad. Also a pet peeve, when they move the order of things around on the spine for no reason. This also goes for covers too. If the title's at the top and the author's name's at the bottom at the beginning of the series, just leave it. If he gets really famous, wait till his next series and then put his name big on the top. Anywho, David Eddings, The Belgariad. This is a series that has been published for a very long time. They decided we want to publish in a different format with 2 volumes instead of 5. So they should have been plotting this at the same time. Notice, Del Rey. Del Rey. Would it really have been that hard to decide which end of the book you wanted the logo on? Everything else looks great. Why'd you do this? They even got volume 1 and volume 2 on the same thing, same fonts? Not so much. The covers though, they did a good job making the covers match. But you oopsed here, guys. Let's change it up and look at a good one. The Hunger Games. Look at the spines. I like the design of the title. It is simple, but it's really unique and it's eye-catching. It's easy to read. The arrow is a really cool and important symbol in the book. You got the author's name, they all line up. The logos all match, they line up. Yeah, good job. Real good job here, Scholastics. This is what I want my books to look like when they're a series and they're sitting on my shelf. Everything matches. Sometimes when a book gets published, the dust jackets get a little funky. By funky, I mean they're totally different. So this is Starsight and Skyward, another Brandon Sanderson series. I have a lot of Sandersons, so that's just what I pulled. Now, these books came out 1 year apart, so it's not like there's a big wait in between them. This one has kind of a more shiny cover. It's kind of almost a pearlescent paper to it, which is really cool and interesting. This one, however, has a matte cover, and it's got a different texture. It's almost like soft, where this one is more slick. Again, really cool, interesting cover paper choice. They're just different. It's not something that's super huge And again, if I'm trying to photograph these or to just catch the light, and you just notice they're not quite the same. And I'm also going to assume that they're not going to wear the same, which is unfortunate. Other than that, though, the actual design of the spines I think looks really nice together. We got two different Spencer faces going on. The logos look good. The titles look good. Brandon's name looks great. So I wish you would have just stuck with one of the two. I think this cover would also have looked really great with the pearlescent paper if you wanted to go that way. Or this one would also look nice with the matte paper if you wanted to go that way. Pick a cover paper type and stick with it. Let's talk about a really big series, Wheel of Time. Now, I know that this series took a really, really, really long time to come out. Like, it's 14 books, so it was published over many years, and so, you know, I would expect there to be a little bit more variation in the spine design just because of how long the series comes out versus a series that comes out maybe in 3, 4, or 5 years. But the thing that really, really annoys me about the spines is the Tor logo. They couldn't decide on a color scheme for their logo, and it changes constantly. Even some things like, you know, the background color, this background is actually a dark blue, but it really blends into the background of the jacket where it is, whereas this one is red, and it's super obvious that it's a different color. And I think it would have looked much better if we would have stuck with this logo with the dark blue background. It would have blended in. And, you know, just like I have so many different Tor logo variations on my Wheel of Time books. I do wish that Tor had just picked one color scheme for the logo and kept it for all the books. Something nice and neutral is great. Whatever it is, just pick one and stick with it. Let's talk about another one that I think is just really, really good. So these are books 3 and 4 of the Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. Now, you might not think that this is exactly like the most amazing job of keeping things matched. I mean, things look nice. But if you notice at the bottom of the book, the publishers are different. So he published the first 3 books with Del Rey, and then he is self-publishing the second half of the series for a whole variety of reasons, none of which are really relevant to this discussion. But what I love about this is, other than the fact that there's a different publishing house logo on the bottom, you almost can't tell that these were published by 2 different publishing companies. I have other series where they switch publishers, and you know what? If that happens, I'm totally okay with that, because there's a lot of things where they don't want to share with the other publisher, you know, they can't use the design from somebody else, or maybe they have to switch to a different cover artist because that cover artist has like a contract with a certain publisher. So many things that could go on where they have to change things. And I was super impressed to see how beautifully that the whole jacket really matches the rest of the series. You know, I think they did a really great job of getting fonts that are super, super similar. They're a little bit different. The A on the Age of War and the Age of Legend are slightly different, but really almost exactly the same. And then Michael's name is a different color. I kind of wish it was white, but we'll see. If the second half of the book is all, the second half of the series is all this same color, I'll be okay with having half and half. And then, I know we're not talking about covers, but they match. One of the big things is he was able to get the same cover artist, so that definitely helps as far as the look and feel of the cover, but the design is really, really quite similar. They did throw on the New York Times bestseller because Age of War was a New York Times bestseller. But yeah, really like this, really happy. They did do a cover material change. This one is more smooth. This one is kind of that more almost soft paper. But that's something I'm willing to forgive because, again, different publisher. I'm sure they were printed at different places and they sourced the paper from different places. But I was super happy at how much effort was put into making these really feel like one and the same series and not two separate things. The last one I wanted to talk about is something that I, and I think many others, found very, very egregious. We're going to talk about Sanderson again, and we're going to talk about the UK editions of the Sanderson books, which you guys can probably see the whole shelf of beautiful white books behind me. I absolutely love that the UK publisher for Sanderson's books went with a very cohesive theme for almost all of his books. There's a couple of them that aren't, and I think those are all his young adult and middle grade series. So The Arithmetist is different, Skyward is different, and then the Alcatraz books are different. But pretty much all of his other books have this very similar style and feel. It is white with kind of a gray illustration and then one pop of color for each series, and it looks so beautiful on my shelf, so I had to go out and get them even though I didn't live in the UK. I have quite a few books that traveled a long way to get to me, and they look really great. So this is Words of Radiance, and then we have Oathbringer, and they go on the shelf and they just look beautiful together. They don't, all of the spines don't match up exactly perfectly, but it's close enough considering how many Sanderson books that there are and when they were published, and the fact that they're not all the one series, that I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, this is not how Oathbringer was originally published. So the Stoneline Archive in the UK has published each volume in 2 editions because Brandon Sanderson writes some really big books. So, easier just to split it in 2. So here's the other part of Oathbringer. It was originally published with a black spine. I mean, it looks beautiful. As a single book by itself, stunning choice. I love it. We got the gold foiling, we got the white lettering. It just graphic and it really pops. But sitting on the shelf with all of my other beautiful white books, it definitely jumps out and says, I do not belong here. So they have since gone back and redone a new edition where it's got the white spine, and I ended up with one of each. So that's kind of a bummer. I will be on the lookout for another one of these white spine ones in the future. But yeah, I just thought this was a colossally big idea. This is book 3 of a 10-book series. Why would you change something that big at this point in the publishing when everything else matches beautifully? So yeah, bad idea. Real bad idea. Save this design for something else that Sanderson publishes that is not Cosmere, and it'll look real good. But yeah, side face. So that's it, guys. Let me know down in the comment section below, does it bother you when your books do not match up really nice on the shelves? Are you okay with kind of slight, small variations? Do you not care? Do you like to have your whole series either all hardback or all paperback? Are you okay with having some half and halves? So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later.